everyone, I'm Lisa. This is my partner, Wei. Hi, Wei.
Hi Lisa. Hi everyone.
We are very happy to share with you some experience about the NebulaGraph. Today, we want to share with you the import options about the NebulaGraph. So let's Wei introduce the different data import methods and tools provided by NebulaGraph. Hi, Wei. Can you start now?
Yeah, Lisa. Okay, so today's topic is about the data import options for Nebula. We all know that there are a couple of different options when you're trying to import data from your sources to Nebula, but how do we distinguish them? How do we choose those from all these different uh, options? So first of all, I will introduce capability, all of the toolings that Nebula community has provided to you for data import. So there are actually three of them major. So basically there are three of them. The first one is called Nebula Importer. So it's coded in Go and it's a serverless. That is, it's a headless binary package that a single file you can call it from any Linux servers to enable the import of data from a CSV file to Nebula Graph. So the next one is Nebula Exchange. So Nebula Exchange is a Spark application that enables you to transform different data sources into Nebula Graph, including some server-based, some database-based, or file-based, or stream-based. The last one is the Nebula Flink connector. Nebula Flink connector literally is a connector running on the Flink that you can consume data from the stream data in Flink and be weird and written to Nebula Graph. So how do we choose from them? So it's basically as usual we will go through the decision tree. So we can from bottom we can see if the data source itself is the file based. So if it's file based and it's CSV based, we can use both Nebula Importer and Exchange. And the difference here is that Exchange leverage a Spark environment. So if you already have a Spark environment, you're free to go with Exchange. And if you only want to leverage a single file from every linked server, you can use the importer. And another difference is that in the Exchange, that is, you're running the importing workload in Spark, you can leverage more than one server. But in importer, you can only run the importer on one server. And for all other file formats that we supported, it's only can be only done from the Nebula Exchange. And the other side is if you are importing data from like Neo4j, MySQL, ClickHouse, and etc., you have to use Exchange. And Exchange is quite powerful tooling to connecting different kind of databases or even stream data. So regarding stream data, if you are importing data from the PubSub like Kafka or Parser, you will use Nebula Exchange. If you are importing data from Flink, you will use the Flink connector. So that's basically all options that we can choose from. Lisa?
Okay. It's so understandable for me,
Yeah.
even though I don't know so complex structure about this.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand them now. So thank you for with explanation. If I understand it correctly, for streaming data, if it's from Flink, Nebula Flink connector should be used, and if the data is from Kafka or Pasta, Nebula Exchange can be used. So
Yeah.
I understanding right?
Yes.
Okay, got it. So now, another question is that what's the difference between the import tools you introduced and the Nebula clients?
Um, you mean the clients, the SDKs for different language like Python, Java? Um, a
Yeah,
good
yeah.
question. Actually, the difference is by nature. Those clients, if your application running on Python, Java, or Go, they are directly talking to Nebula. So you will use the corresponding SDK or clients. And if your application is running on Spark, then you will use the Spark client, which is called the Spark connector, and same thing applies to the Flink case. But if you would like to import or streaming data from the sources like the files, the other databases, or even Kafka parser, in that case you will have to use the Exchange. It's a Exchange application rather than a library. So does it make sense to you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it makes very sense to me.
Yeah.
But I still have another confusion. What's the difference between Nebula Exchange and the Spark connector?
Good question, Lisa. So yeah, they are all application. They are all code running on Spark. So what's the difference? As I mentioned before, actually, Spark, a Spark connector for Nebula is actually a client or library that you want to talking to Nebula in your Spark-based workload or code. But Exchange itself is actually a Spark application, so you can call the Exchange from the submit shell or from the Exchange or from the Spark code. So that's the similar difference we talked about in your last questions. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. So the last question for me is that how many types of sources are supported by Nebula Exchange?
Yes, and that's actually this part was demonstrated. So I will dive into the exchange itself. So as I listed, but it's not all of the list, that Nebula Exchange supported like MySQL ClickHouse, also support different kind of files, also support the streamed data. So underlying uh, exchange are divided into three um, components. That is the reader, the processor, and writer. So with this information, you will have more ideas of what exchange is all about and how we should use them and what it can be done with it. So so reader literally means that the part that you are talking to the data sources, and processor is the ones that to be used to making the processing based on how you want to output or how you want to write them. So and as the slide shows, when you're talking with data source of the different databases, you are actually relying on the server-based reader. And when you're talking to the file-based sources, you actually underline use a file-based reader. And of course, you are using the streaming-based reader when you're talking to Kafka and the parser. And inside Exchange, the reader will read the source and process them with the different type of processor. But the difference here is that if you choose to output your data into the Nebula cluster directly, you are actually leveraging the server-based writer, which is using underlying the vertex and edge processor. But there is another option which is called the SST writer. That is, you can optionally choose to make Exchange as your application to directly creating the SST files, and you can sideload those SST files into Nebula cluster directly without talking with the GraphD. So in that case, you can achieve a huge data import writing rate. So not everyone need it, but Nebula provide it by default. In that case, you will use the file-based writer, which will consume the SST processor underlying. So I hope that will answer your question, Lisa.
Yeah. Actually, I can understand it all now, and it's quite amazing explanation for me. Today's discussion about import data options is over now. So we hope you can learn about other tools or options or something else. And if you have any questions about it, just leave us a message or comment below the video. So see you next time. Bye. Bye,
Bye,
Ray.
Lisa. Bye.